Hey girls, it's Miss Cartwright here. Welcome to Vocab Unit 12 for Level D. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our vocab words today. Our first one is appreciable. It's an adjective and it means sufficient to be noticed or measured. So a lot of times you'll hear about an appreciable difference. That would mean that one thing is significantly or noticeably better than another. Like two cookies might both be really delicious, but in order for one to have an appreciable difference over the other, one might need to be homemade versus store-bought. Okay, our next word is an adjective. It's autocratic. It means absolute in power or authority. So you can remember that this one has to do with power and authority in government because it ends with cratic, just like democratic or theocratic, that has to do with government. And auto means self, so one person has all of the power. Hitler, for example, could be referred to as an autocratic leader. Our next word is a verb, and it is blanch. It means to remove color from, to make or turn pale. It can also mean if you're cooking to parboil, that means partially boil something. So here's an example of a little minion, and he is becoming blanched from fear. He has lost all of his color. A lot of times we are blanched when we're afraid or when we're really nervous. Our next word is blasphemy. It's a noun. It's an act, utterance, or writing showing contempt for something sacred. So here's a really good example of blasphemy. We've got a picture of Jesus on the cross, and then we have some people who are doing the YMCA next to him. A lot of people would consider this to be blasphemous because it's disgraceful towards something that other people consider to be sacred. Our next word is brawny. It's an adjective. It means strong or muscular. This WWE wrestler is definitely a brawny dude. You may be familiar also with brawny paper towels, and those are supposed to be stronger or tougher than regular paper towels. Concerted is an adjective. It means planned or performed in cooperation with others. I like to remember that one because this word starts with the word concert, which is a type of activity that involves a big group, and you have to plan a lot in order to get it done. So making a concerted effort means that everybody's trying really hard to get something done together. Contend is our next word. It's a verb, and it means to fight, to struggle, to compete, or to argue. So here we've got a nice debate between some of our previous presidential candidates, and you can see that they are making contentions, or they are contending against one another for the victory. Our next word is humane, which is an adjective, and it means kind or merciful. You may be familiar with humane societies. Usually those are places where animals can go to be taken care of safely, to be treated with mercy. You might also know the word humanitarian, which is when somebody tries to help other people. Illustrious is our next word, also an adjective. It means very famous or distinguished. So the Mona Lisa is certainly an illustrious painting. It is one of the most famous examples of a painting. Great. Our next word is intolerable, which is an adjective, and it means unbearable, something that you cannot tolerate. So for example, this man's snoring is intolerable to his wife. Our next word is irreverent, which is an adjective, and it means disrespectful. So this word seems a lot like blasphemy, a word that we had earlier. But the difference between irreverent and blasphemy, in addition to the part of speech, right, this is obviously an adjective, is that being irreverent does not necessarily have to mean that you're being disrespectful towards something sacred. It could just mean that you're being disrespectful towards somebody in authority, like a teacher or a parent, or it could mean that you're being disrespectful to an idea that your friend thinks is important. Laborious is an adjective, and it means not easy, requiring hard work, or hardworking. So you can remember that because it starts with the word labor, which has to do with work, and it sounds difficult, doesn't it? Laborious. Lithe is our next word. It's an adjective, and it means bending easily or limber. This figure skater is certainly someone who's lithe. Oftentimes ballerinas are also lithe. They are very easy to bend. Maltreat is our next word. It's a verb, and it means to abuse or to use rough or crudely. The first part of this word, mal, means bad, so you can tell that it means bad treatment of somebody. This little girl is obviously being maltreated by an adult who's yelling at her. Ponder is our next word. It's a verb, and it means to consider carefully or to reflect on. So here we have a really adorable picture of a baby who might be pondering his future. Usually when we ponder things, we ponder big, tough questions like what is the meaning of life or what am I going to do with my life. We don't really ponder over things like what am I going to eat for a snack, though that might be an important question for many of you. Our next word is subversive. It's an adjective, and it means intended to undermine or overthrow, one who advocates or attempts to undermine a political system. So this one has a lot to do with politics, and it has to do with a group or an individual who's trying to overthrow an existing government. Usually we talk about subversion in a positive way, as a way of regaining power for somebody who's been oppressed or ostracized. So here we have an overt political confrontation between, it looks like, police officers and regular citizens who might be attempting to subvert the government. Synthetic is an adjective, and it means made or put together by people, something artificial. So astroturf is a great example of a synthetic form of grass. It's a human-made, but it replicates the original thing. Temperate is an adjective, and it means mild or moderate. So somebody who is not over the top, somebody who's kind of just regular and nice. It means being even-handed in your attitude towards others, so not being a hothead, not being easy to anger. Venomous is our next word. It's an adjective, and it can mean poisonous or it can mean spiteful and mean. So obviously snakes are venomous. They have venom that can be used to poison people. But we can also be venomous if we use our words to poison people through spite or hatred or being mean. Our last word today is wily, which means sly, shrewd, or cunning. When I think of wily, I like to think of Wile E. Coyote from their old Roadrunner cartoons, because he always tries to get away with crazy things, just like this man is trying to get away with walking on water. Wily usually has to do with a tricky feat that you're trying to accomplish. All right, everybody, that's our Vocab Unit 12 video. I look forward to seeing your vocab notes or your short story next class. Thanks.